Hey folks, Jay from Unseen Japan here. Hope you enjoyed this discussion that Sachi and I had about our different Japanese learning journeys. I was particularly really intrigued by Sachi's perspective as a Japanese woman who learned Japanese later in life. If you're looking to kickstart your own Japanese studies or resume them, I definitely highly recommend to you a course from our good friends at Rocket Languages. They do a professionally done 3-level course that provides you the foundation you need for the rest of your Japanese studies. To get started, you can use the link right up in the right corner there under the little eye icon, or use the URL that we have printed down below here. Be aware that this is an affiliate link, and if you end up making a purchase, Unseen Japan will earn a little commission from your purchase at no additional cost to you. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy.
So yeah, we do care about politics. It's just that weeps aren't seeing it because they do not care to see it.
Right. Because they do not
That's
speak
the
Japanese.
conclusion.
Yes. They do not speak Japanese, and they do not go out of their way to actually learn about news in Japan. So there's that.
And that is a very nice segue.
That was a very nice segue. So how do you learn to speak Japanese? How'd you do it?
I went to uni. Like,
oh, trial by fire.
Yes, like I never learned Japanese at home. I had to learn it as an adult. Oh my God. Like when I think about it.
That's something I actually wanted to ask you, because you've expressed to me a couple of times. You and I have actually never really spoken in Japanese to one another.
No, I get very shy.
Really?
Like I will speak Japanese, obviously. Like I have to speak Japanese to my husband because he doesn't understand English, or I speak Japanese at work, or
right.
I don't know. Like when I go to the supermarket, I cannot say to the cashier, "Excuse me, can I have a bag?"
Right.
So I do speak Japanese, but I get very shy because I have the feeling that I am being judged constantly, and that is something that happened to me, especially when I was in uni. Because there was this expectation that, oh, she's Japanese, she will ace the class. And I was working my butt off.
Oh, man.
Yes. And I remember once, like my uni, they did the JOPT exam. And for many years, I was like the assistant. So I would be looking at the classrooms and helping people. And it was cool. And they paid.
Oh.
Not a lot, but they pay. And I remember going to the meeting, and the meeting was in Japanese. And I had only started learning Japanese like maybe 4 months. And I got so stressed out. I felt so horrible that I couldn't understand, even though it was like not plausible for me to understand what was going on. But just the pressure of being Japanese and not being able to speak Japanese, it was crushing.
Wow.
So, and I still carry that a little bit. So I get very shy. I get very anxious when I have to speak Japanese, and I feel like I'm being judged for that.
Wow, that's a whole other level of pressure I hadn't even considered.
Especially because my name is Japanese, right? Sachiko Ishikawa. So people automatically, they would speak to me in Japanese if they saw like my name card. And and I would be like, Nihongo tabemasen. Full circle. Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about it that way because, as a white guy, I just approach everything with unbridled confidence. So with the raging mediocrity of a white man, so it's been fine.
Yeah, I mean, you can speak Japanese, and that is amazing. Like, Japanese is a language that is easy to speak, but it's very difficult to master.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, so like you can learn and learn and learn, and you will never be done.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you do anything to learn explicitly now?
No, I'm done.
Well, I mean, you're also immersed, so.
I mean, yeah.
And like you and I both have also the common experience of we have a spouse that we have to speak Japanese to.
Yes.
So there's always that like forcing function.
Exactly. Yeah. I cannot escape. Yeah.
Do you ever get to the point where your spouse asks you to explain something, you're just like, oh. Yes. But I really don't want to think about how to express this in Japanese.
Yeah, and I would be like, are? はダメ これは OK.
I gotta remember that. あれだめ、これ OK.
Yeah. like my catchphrase, especially like when we're teasing each other, it's like これはこれ、それはそれ. That's it.
I have the opposite thing of where my wife will just like constantly be like, なんだかあれ? And I'm supposed to know what あれ means. I'm like, あれって何?
Japanese language is so vague.
Uh,
It is so vague. And they'll say like, yeah, そういえばあれさ. And it's like, what?
I've had experience in English too, though. My previous marriage, my father-in-law would like do that occasionally. He'd be like a lot more indirect in his speech than some people, and so he would look at me one time. He's like, "Did you do that thing?" And I'm like, "What thing?" You know, the thing with the deal. And I'm like,
Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but especially like Japanese, you don't even need to add a subject.
Yeah.
So like, 行くね. It's like,
so hard. Because you've got to infer everything from like the use of o and ni and passive construction. And just like who's being
like the particles. I'm done with that. I just skip them. I eat them.
Yeah.
Like これ食べる?
Prior context. Yeah. Prior context is huge in Japanese. Yeah, that's a fun thing. Like everyone like stresses out about the particles. So pro tip, you can leave out the particles.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've used the particle in over years. Like これ食べる? これいる?
You can even just be like verbs, just verbs. Speak in verbs.
Yeah.
You can speak in verbs and people would be like totally fine.
Yeah, and something that really, really that I love about Japanese is when they make up a word like the waseigo. But like my first experience with this was NG. これは NG.
NG,
And
ING.
I was thinking, what is NG? NG? And they said, yeah, it's an English word. It's not good. And I was thinking, that's not a thing. But it was like so. Everyone said it. Everyone said like, これは NG だね. It's like, huh?
Yeah. To be like, not permissible, like against social mores, something you shouldn't do. And it's like,
it's like NG. That's not a thing.
Yeah, that is waseigo. Mountain goo is the other one that got me. So mountain goo is, basically like somebody like dressing up and like putting on airs to like, lord over another person or to like, put yourself as superior to other person. And I was like, that produces weird images for me as a native English speaker.
Yes. And another one of my favorites is KY. あなた KY だね. Because KY sounds like an English construction, and then it's like Kuki yomenai.
Yes.
It's just like, what are you doing?
Yes, SNS.
Yes.
SNS used to refer to anything that is like electronic communication, like SNS
like social media.
Social media is SNS. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, or like they will say, I don't know, and it's something that you end up using in English.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're in a Japanese context, but you speak in English, you will say SNS.
Yep.
But that's not a thing.
It's the same thing in reverse, though. So, like my pet peeve is the English meaning of sake, which means nihonshu.
Yeah.
And sake in Japanese is just a general word meaning alcohol. It is like literally every single alcohol like you could ever imagine. That for some reason that drives me bonkers, but languages are what they are, and that's the meaning it has in English. So it's like, okay, fuck it. I guess we're stuck.
And something that in localization, and this was like a meme for a long time, was the Pokemon with the onigiri, and they called it jam-filled donuts, but it was like an onigiri. What are you doing? Stop this.
Oh my god. I believe there was like even like there's been like animation where they've like edited chopsticks out. Like on like the whole mile. Like it was Doraemon or something. I
don't know,
like vaguely
but
remember that. Might have been
I
Pokemon.
remember, with the dorayaki, that instead of saying that it was dorayaki and anko, they would say that it was chocolate.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's
Uncle
not the
kind
same.
of has that appearance, so I guess you can get away with it, right?
But I got so mad when I came to Japan and I found out it was anko. Because I bought the dorayaki expecting chocolate, and then it was anko, and I hate anko.
And you're like,
so I was like, this sucks. This sucks. Yeah.
Oh,
How about you? When did you start learning Japanese?
So long journey. So I started trying to learn when I was in middle school, and as I've said before, I've admitted before, it was to watch anime, the original purpose. I didn't really stick with it in middle school. I tried to get like 25 and didn't really stick with it. And then like 39, I was like divorced, living on my own. And I was like playing way too much Halo 4. And I was like, this isn't a good use of my time. I should do something more productive. And I went back to trying to study Japanese. And at that point, I found that the internet in the ensuing years had created all these glorious resources for it. It had become a lot easier. So I was like, oh, yeah, awesome. So for me, there's a lot of flashcards, a lot of SRS, space repetition. So using Anki a lot. I started off trying to study like vocabulary straight off. I didn't do like a lot of direct kanji study at first. I just tried to like absorb it. I moved more into like trying to study from sentences later, like short sentences, like a word, just like a word or a grammatical construct that I didn't know. And I've said this before in my my kanji kente study videos. I actually think the kanji kente is really good for this. So I would actually encourage. You have to get like a certain level of Japanese before you can do kanji kente at all. But if you can get into it, hey, final boss, welcome. If you can get into it, definitely, I think it's a really great way to get like short, simple Japanese sentences that help you to build your vocabulary as well as your grammatical knowledge. I started doing that. I used a combination of, first of all, Rikai-chan or Rikai-kun, the Firefox browser plugin, and now Yomi-chan I used a lot as well because you can add flashcards automatically with that. So that's really nice because you don't have to build like your own flashcard decks, which is a real pain in the ass. I also did a lot of just like I would take an article online and I'd be like, I really want to read this, and I would try to like basically like decipher it.
Yeah.
So I started off with articles, and I would like try to like break them down and like make like mini vocabulary lists from them, and try to like learn vocabulary that way. And if the article was too hard, I'd set it aside and come back to it later. But just basically try to rinse and repeat through that process a lot until I could finally get to like reading books. Reading books and watching TV, watching drama, or watching like news has been like kind of my like primary form of study. So a lot of that, a lot of like anytime you can find stuff that has like audio and text together, I found those resources really useful. Like news sites like fnn.jp, which is Fuji's news network, frequently post like video and text along with it. NHK does that a lot, or they do stuff that is like just replicates whatever they do on their radio shows, the radio news broadcasts as well. So a lot of that just to try to get both the audio and the reading component down at the same time. And so now that's just like a lot of reading books and watching TV, honestly.
Like actually, Japanese TV is useful in the sense that they use a lot of teleps, and they will transcribe what the person is saying, and then they will just add the kanji, and they will put the emphasis on the word that needs emphasis. So that's actually quite useful.
Yeah, they do that a lot in variety, particularly.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's like pure subtitles.
Yeah, but I mean it's useful, so I'm not mad at it.
No, it's great. I've heard someone was commenting in a forum. It's like, I wish real life came with subtitles, and I was like,
oh my god, yes, that would be so useful.
So what's interesting is that my kids actually they watch like English Netflix with subtitles on an English television program, and I learned that that's like a thing. on like teens, 20, 30-year-olds that they basically just they put on the subtitles. People have gotten used to it. Yeah, I've gotten used to it too, because I'm like, at first I was like, that is the weirdest thing, and then I started doing it, and I was like, oh, this is totally convenient.
It is. It's very convenient. Yeah.
You can kind of like listening is tiring, even if in English, and sometimes just having the words on screen, it's like it's a lot better. It's a lot less exhausting, I guess.
It's easier to follow as well, and also like I think it helps a lot with spelling. Especially if you're a student and you're just starting to learn language and how to write and how to read.
Yeah.
And like for me, I know how to write many words, but sometimes the more complex words, I don't know how to pronounce them because I've never heard them. I've only read them. So that helps a lot as well.
We were kind of, and I still completely fluent in English, but still watch stuff with subtitles. Yeah, when I can watch a drama with subtitles or a Japanese movie with JP subtitles, I will absolutely do it.
Yes.
Because I think having that reinforcement really helps.
And something that I like a lot in Japanese TV is the quiz bangumi, where they will ask things that, I don't know, like things that you would find in school, for example, things that everyone knows. But because they're things that I never learned, it's always like, oh, I didn't know this. Oh, I didn't know that. And they also do a lot of kanji exercises because it's difficult. And it's like, oh, I can read that. So whenever there's like a question that I know, it's like, oh, come on, everyone should know this. I know it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of variety, but like some of them are like really good for like covering like just like everyday explanations of stuff. There's one, it's what is this? 日本人が3割しか知らない。
Yeah, that is very interesting. Yeah,
that is really interesting because that's like stuff that even like Japanese people don't like necessarily know, or it's even just like a stupid household cleaning trick or something. But it's just like good like explanations of like everyday activities, and it's like it's kind of fun.
My favorite is the one where they have this famous people versus Todai students. And that I love. That is like my favorite, I think.
Yeah. And they were kind of shocked when I realized my TV remote had a subtitle button. Yeah, subtitle button is very nice.
Yeah.
That's one thing I love about when we're in Japan is that you can just turn subtitles on, closed captioning on.
It's not a thing in the US?
It is a thing in the US, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a thing in the US as well. It's a thing like if you're on cable. We don't even have like cable anymore. So yeah, everything we watch is like Netflix and Hulu, and it's all like English subtitles are enabled as well. So, yeah, so that's been a thing for many years because of like closed captioning and deaf and hard of hearing people. In Danish, there's usually 3 subtitles: Danish, English, and German.
That's amazing.
Fancy. Denmark getting fancy.
We stand Denmark.
We do. Well, we push the subtitle button multiple times to switch. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so that's something I commented about recently on Twitter too. So we recently watched The Queen's Gambit, which, if you haven't seen it, is fabulous. It's really good. But because it's a Netflix production, Netflix productions, when they air in the US, when they always do like a Japanese sub and dub track, and they're available in the US Netflix.
Yeah.
So we were able to watch
it. For that.
Yeah, so we were able to watch it in Japanese, so like I could fully understand it, and I was like, yeah, fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, so I really like that they do that. Unfortunately, they can only do that for stuff like they have the rights to usually.
Yeah.
But we also have noticed that if we connect through Netflix through a proxy server, that we can get all the other good stuff.
Yeah.
So.